Well, hey there, YouTube. How you doing today? This is Robert Summers, and let me just thank you for stopping by and checking out our channel. I'm glad to be able to get together here today with you all and bring another video as we're talking about narcissism. And today what I want to talk about is the golden sons of narcissistic mothers. Golden sons of narcissistic mothers. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss some of the outcomes of what we refer to as maternal narcissistic abuse. Okay, maternal narcissistic abuse. Now, perhaps you're someone, it could be male or female, but specifically, let's just say that you are a woman and you're married, you have a husband. Have you ever wondered why your husband may have some difficulty attaching himself to you emotionally? Have you ever wondered why your husband has difficulty emotionally attaching or emotionally bonding to you? Have you ever wondered why you're always the brunt of everything that happens and you get blamed for everything? Have you wondered why your husband doesn't take responsibility for many of his dysfunctional behaviors, specifically in the area of emotional development? Have you ever wondered why he attacks you, criticizes you for everything, or also avoids you and doesn't give you the attention that you not only need, but you're deserving of, but rather redirects his attention to toys and work, his career, or some other addiction like perhaps pornography, rather than giving you that healthy attention that you should have as a wife, and of course reciprocate that back to your husband? Well, let me just explain to you something, that when these things occur, what we're finding out in our coaching lane here in talking to people is people are quick to make haste and label the husband as a narcissist. So they'll say, hey, my husband is a narcissist because of the aforementioned things that I just stated. And perhaps indeed he is. But our goal here is not to assign labels. Our goal is to understand why. What we do is we help you understand why it is. Why is it that your husband, who you may even say has a good heart, but he still blames you, he has difficulty bonding with you emotionally, criticizes you consistently, and does not give you the attention that you indeed desire. So we want to understand the whys. That's what it's all about, understanding why these things happen. Now, perhaps your husband is acting out of his need to medicate his emotional or physiological pain or psychological pain, I would say, not physiological, but his psychological pain that was caused by his narcissistic mother. So again, we're talking about golden sons of narcissistic mothers, and there are mothers that are narcissistic, and they have a tremendous effect on their sons. So perhaps your husband is acting out his need to self-medicate or anesthetize his emotional deficiency or his emotional pain and the psychological pain that comes with that that's been caused by his narcissistic mother. Now, I want to be real clear here. This isn't an excuse for a husband or, your husband or a man's behavior that is dysfunctional and toxic, but rather it's a reason, it's a cause, it's what we need to look at so that we can address this thing correctly. Now, a lot of people think that when you talk about narcissism, or specifically a male that's narcissistic, although a narcissist can be a male or a female, clearly, but that there's absolutely no help for them. And of course, there's people that will troll videos, and of course, people that have been hurt and wounded by narcissistic abuse, and understandably so, they will say that, no, there's no hope. I don't agree with that. Certainly, our experience here is not consistent with that view. Is it difficult? Of course, but if the work is put in, a person who is a narcissist can clearly be healed. But again, what we want to do is not find an excuse. We're not looking for an excuse for a husband or a man that's behaving in a toxic or septic manner, but rather a reason or a cause so that we can address it. Now let's talk about narcissistic mothers. What are narcissistic mothers? Well, a narcissistic mother assigns roles to her children that she has, whether that's one or several. Okay, this goes for both sons and daughters. Narcissistic mothers they're highly toxic, they're evil, abusive, and they cause tremendous emotional trauma, specifically in men. But yet they're still our mothers. Okay? Now, the roles that a narcissistic mother, and of course a narcissistic mother is a person that has been wounded, typically when they were young as a child. What they will do is they will bring these roles or assign these roles to their children. And there's typically 3 categories of these roles that they'll put their children in. And again, we're specifically talking about sons today. And that is this. The first one would be the golden child. Okay, the second one would be the scapegoat. And the third category of the child is what we classify as the invisible child. So today we'll briefly discuss golden sons of narcissistic mothers. Now, at a very treetop level, what is a golden child? Well, a golden child is one that is worshipped by the mother. This child to the mother becomes the reflection of everything that she wants for herself, specifically in the area of emotional relationship. So her view of her son is what we would call a perverted view. It's an unhealthy view. And again, because the mother has this type of dysfunction in her life, could be a generational type curse, could be, and most likely is some type of abuse or trauma that she went through that causes this. She's basically unfulfilled. She has a tremendous void in her own life. And as she grows and matures physically and intellectually, and she gets married and or has children, she'll look to that child, specifically the son in this case, and maybe label that son or categorize that son as the golden child. Now, this many times can be the son who is the baby of the family, but not always. When she looks at this golden son, she sees her son through a perverted lens. She looks at her son in a way that's unhealthy. She looks at her son to fulfill her emotional voids and craving for attention that she has. She looks to her son to validate her emotionally, to support her emotionally, and even to some extent, look to that son to provide a protection overall, at least emotionally, to that mother. Now, more often than not, we find that a narcissistic mother who has labeled or categorized her son as the golden child or the golden son, most likely had some type of bonding problems with her own parents, specifically her dad. So what we'll say is many times that she had what we refer to as daddy problems or daddy bonding problems. And what happens is many times what a wounded mother will do is she'll look to marry a daddy figure, or she'll look to marry her daddy emotionally. She's looking to fill that void in what she didn't receive emotionally, intellectually, from her in a healthy way from her father. In most cases, clearly the mother has a part to play in this as well. But typically, that's what it is. It's usually the daddy figure as it pertains to the girl, in this case, the mother, who is narcissistic. What ends up happening, though, is although the wounded mother looks to marry a man who she can look at or expect to fulfill her emotionally the way her father did not. What a narcissistic mother will do is flip that to the son and therefore make that son the golden child. Now, the golden son is essentially becomes enmeshed with his mother. Okay, so they're fused together, they're linked together emotionally. Now, again, let me just pause for a minute. You need to be thinking in terms of perhaps your husband and wondering, why does he have these problems connecting emotionally? Why does he have these problems with abusing me emotionally or verbally? Why does he not pay me the attention? Why does he not accept the responsibility and so on? Well, again, your husband, even though he could be in his 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s or beyond, he could still be emotionally connected and enmeshed with his mother. She may not even be living anymore. Okay? But again, that's what a narcissistic mother will do in making a golden son. So the golden son is enmeshed with his mother, and what she'll end up doing, she typically will take that son and she praises him. She'll look at her golden son as a sport, kind of like a trophy, and reinforce in that son that he is, okay, now remember, the son is young. He's perfect. He's superior. He's charming. He's handsome. He's, there's nothing too good for him. This is what's being instilled in him emotionally and intellectually at a very young age. So in his mind, he's not getting the things that he really needs, love, validation, attention, protection, support, affirmation, correction where necessary, not criticism, and training. He's not getting that. What he's getting is a lot of toxic emotions coming from his mother, who's simply looking to him, that young boy, to fill a gap. So she begins to look at him and sport him. He becomes her trophy, as it were. He's charming. Oh, he's so handsome. He can do nothing wrong. The mother makes that child feel internally, he's starting to feel, well, so my mom's making me feel superior to everybody else. Now, we can pause here and you can see how that could lead to some significant problems, specifically that young male child growing up and potentially becoming a narcissist, or at least to have narcissistic, characteristics about themselves. So the mother, in making that child, the golden child, feel, or golden son, feel superior, understand that it does come with a price. She's doing that it's all about the mother. It's not really about the son. The son is basically being used as a tool. And again, it comes with a price. Now, that being said, always remember that a narcissist, whether male or female, it doesn't matter, a narcissist's biggest fear is their supply being cut off. So to counter this, a narcissistic mother will deploy what we call psychological warfare strategies that will be released against the golden son at an early age. Okay, so in order to tame him or to train him, some of those strategies, some of those tactics would be that the mother will gaslight, the mother will triangulate the son. And here's a big one. The mother will commit what we call emotional incest with the son. Now, what does that mean, emotional incest? What does that look like? Well, we're talking about seduction. The mother will seduce the son, and the mother seduces the son, who is the golden son, as a replacement for the male figure in her life. In this case, it would be the husband, okay? Or it could be the father. So the mother is looking at the golden son as a replacement for her father that didn't, give her the things that she needed to develop in a healthy way. Or it's a replacement for her now husband that she has, okay? And what ends up happening is the mother emotionally marries the son. That's how weird this thing is. And of course, the son, the golden son, must meet that mother's emotional needs, because that's what she wants. And remember, the son's in her narcissistic supply. Okay? So if she's married, the husband will typically become, you have the golden son here and you have the husband. if she's married to the husband will typically become emasculated by that narcissistic mother. And the golden son will end up being her man, as it were, emotionally. So while this isn't sexual in nature, it is perversion, meaning that it is abnormal from the way that God would have us to relate to our children, and of course, in a marriage with a husband and a wife. So it's perversion, and it includes, to the narcissist's mother, what was called fantasy lust. So she's actually looking at her golden son as the knight in shining armor to herself. And this is why you'll see a mother with their golden son at a young age, even into the teen years, flirting with that son, touching that son inappropriately. Now, I'm not talking about sexually, but I'm talking about inappropriately, maybe rubbing their ear, putting their fingers through their hair, even when that son has perhaps already gone through puberty and into adolescent age and beyond, caressing and so on. Now, what happens is, watch this. Now, what ends up happening is as the son grows and he ages, just in chronologically he grows, intellectually he grows, physically, of course, he grows. His emotions are basically arrested to the point, or at the point, of the soul tie that was developed with his narcissistic mother, and it's arrested and frozen at the point whereby he always feels that he needs to satisfy her wishes and her demands. So this could be one of the problems your husband may have, where you're saying, hey, he's a narcissist or he's narcissistic. Well, it could well be, but the real question is, well, what happened here? And there's a reason, and this is why we always say that we can get people to help if they reach out, come through our program, get our coaching, and so on. We can help in a lot of different ways. But going back to this golden child, he's never really able to grow emotionally outside his mother's control. So you may be married to a man right now and you may be a man that's listening and know what I'm talking about, that you're saying, yeah, my mother still does control me. I'm 35, 40 years old, what have you. Bam, my mother still controls me. So what ends up happening in that golden child's life, throughout life, is his confidence, his self-respect, clearly his identity, is all tied to his mother's approval. So even though he's married and has children, he has a job and all that other stuff, emotionally, as well as in a spiritual soul tie perspective, everything's tied back to his mother's approval. So everything that he does, even his relationship with his spouse, which may be you, is all based on his mother saying that, well, hey, you have to meet my demands, not, you don't need to meet the needs of your wife. You need to meet my demands. It's all about me. So, and if the son, who's now grown, that golden son, if there's any hint of independence, if he looks to pull back and be independent from his mother, that independence will be met with vengeance from his mother. She may employ a lot of different tactics. Obviously, a lot of drama. I've seen that. There'll be a lot of drama, manipulation, control, witchcraft, lies, but it's going to be vengeance that basically brings hell into that golden child's life, because he is looking to emancipate himself from his mother. And the narcissistic mother, is going to have a serious problem with that, even to the point where the mother will sabotage the son's own independence, his own dreams, his own visions, the things that he wants to do. And of course, he has difficulty connecting in a healthy way emotionally with you, his wife, and of course his children, because he's basically been in the mother's supply chain for, since he was a young child. He needs to come out from that and relearn the growing process, at least from an emotional perspective. Okay? Remember, wives, that relationships of the golden son to a narcissistic mother, especially those relationships with women, and of course a wife, will always be attacked. Remember, only the narcissistic mother can carry the trophy of her golden son. Remember, her golden son is the reflection of everything that she desires emotionally, and she needs to pull from that through control, manipulation, intimidation, and domination. So this is why we say that deliverance, healing, and wholeness is needed, but we've got to get people to the place where they understand what's going on. So here we are. Now the now grown son, who could be 30, 40, 50 years old beyond, needs to continue feeding his mother's narcissistic fire. Now, he may not want to do that, but he fears independence. And of course, that fear is going to bring torment into his life, which is going to be passed on because he's angry. See, here's the thing. Listen, wives of sons that have experienced maternal narcissistic abuse will typically experience or receive the brunt of the pain released by the adult son. So while internally that son is angry at his controlling narcissistic mother, remember, his groomed loyalty and his devotion to serving his mother's Jezebelic patterns or her Jezebelic bedchamber only provokes abuse against himself or others. Now, what does that look like? Well, he may be so frustrated in that he wants to break free, but he doesn't know how. He will then go down the path of abusing self. And what do we typically do? Well, some type of addiction, alcohol, tobacco, sex, relational, whatever it may be, some type of perversion. It could be, an addiction, buying things, whatever. Or that abuse, if it doesn't come towards self, it's going to be abusive to others, which in this case, it would be spousal abuse through anger. Let me close by saying this. It's not necessarily true that he's angry at you, although it certainly feels like that. It could be that he's acting out the hurt and pain that he's received from his narcissistic mother, and now needs to direct that somewhere. And when he's taking it out on you, he actually feels emotionally that he's taking it out on his mother. But he would never do it to his mother because he's fearful of his mother. So if that's something that, you guys, as you're listening here, if that's something that resonates with you, if you kind of make some sense here, give us a call. Give us a call at the office here, 614-378-1474, or go to the website, summersministries.com. We would love to get you a coaching appointment, get you in here, begin to understand your problem, and then explain to you why things occur so that once you know and you're empowered, you can begin to break free from this narcissistic abuse. Again, some people are narcissists. Some people have narcissistic characteristics or traits. Regardless of which it is, it's certainly toxic and evil. And everybody, husband, wife, mom, dad, children, everybody's affected. Let's get people healthy. Let's get people free. Let's get educated and understand just exactly what's happening. Listen, thanks for watching us here. If this video has blessed you, listen, just put a comment down below. Give the thumbs up if you like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Share the video. And again, let's give people the truth concerning some of the behaviors that we have that are dysfunctional so that we can bring the light to the darkness. All right? God bless you guys. We'll talk to you next time around. Bye-bye now.